It's 10:40, and this is To The Point with me, Mercy Moroki, and Inaya Falarin. Iman, we're on GB News, and we're live on your TV, online, and radio.
And now, you would have seen them popping up everywhere. E-cigarettes, also known as vapes. Well, Charity Action on Smoking and Health Report has revealed that a record 4.3 million people are actively vaping in Britain after a five-fold increase in a decade.
Yes, well, over 8% of adults in England, Wales and Scotland are now believed to be regular vapers, which is up from 1.7% 10 years ago. And this report also says that over 2 million British vapers are former smokers, 1.5 million still smoke, and 350,000 of them have never had a cigarette, which I think is interesting because the vaping industry has said, look, we're definitely for people to stop smoking, and I think they have tried to say there's no evidence that people who haven't smoked before are now vaping. So these figures obviously do somewhat contradict.
I think vaping may have a more a lighter appeal. Because I see some people vaping indoors. I don't think they're necessarily allowed to, but it doesn't have the strong smell of the cigarettes.
Yeah, exactly. You can't tell somebody's vaped, a minute ago, and you can definitely smell cigarettes on people even a few hours after they've done so. But why don't we speak to some experts about this? Joining us now to debate vaping and whether it is actually the healthiest way to stop smoking is Global CEO and co-author of Easyway books, Easyway to Stop Vaping, included in that, John Dicey, and next to him is Director General of the UK Vaping Industry Association, John Dunn. Thank you both for joining us. I was going to say, John, let's start with you, but since you're both called John, I think I might have to use your full names. John Dunn, let's start with you because you are representing the Vaping Industry Association here, and I think we can all agree that vaping is a healthier alternative to smoking. That's what the data shows. But there are still some cons. And this morning, when I was looking at pros and cons, my list of cons was much longer. For example, the nicotine contained in one of those vapes, Elf bars, popular one, is 20, 40, sometimes 50 times more than a pack of cigarettes.
Well, first of all, that's incorrect information. A normal cigarette will contain anywhere between 8 milligrams to 24 milligrams.
Oh, he'll be back in... Oh, there we go.
Sorry, can you repeat that? So I was saying, so you were correcting me on the nicotine in a vape.
Yeah, absolutely. A normal cigarette in this country, depending on the strength, contains anywhere between 8 milligrams and 24 milligrams of nicotine per cigarette. Whereas a vaping device here, a legal vaping device, contains 20 milligrams of nicotine per milliliter. So there's 2 milliliters of liquid in each device. So that's 4 milligrams, of nicotine. So that comparison really doesn't wash out. But what's really important here is that to consider is that 220 people die every day from consuming from smoking cigarettes here in the UK. And nobody has died from vaping-related diseases, not only here in the UK, but worldwide.
Yeah. And John Dicey, I guess for you to come back on that point, what do you say to some of the things that John Dunn have said, that people are not necessarily dying at anywhere near the level and the illness and diseases that are associated with smoking cigarettes? And there is a reason why many people are making the switch.
Yeah, we support anything that helps smokers to quit, and that's important. The health authorities in the UK have said that e-cigarettes can help. The important thing is, firstly, smokers and vapers are given a drug-free method of stopping smoking, as well as anything that contains chemicals, and safeguarding youngsters, preventing youngsters from taking it up, particularly as they've been targeted mercilessly by the vape industry over the last 10 years. And this is something I warned about 10 years ago. I called it a nicotine time bomb, and the ticking's getting louder and louder. In terms of the amount of nicotine a vapor takes in, it really does depend what device they use, and also how often they do it, how much vape juice they put in it. The tanks that people sort of regulate themselves cause all sorts of issues. So it's very difficult to really understand the potential harm that a vaping device might cause, albeit it's likely to be sort of less harmful than smoking.
Yeah, I think the figure I've seen before, I think it's from Public Health England, maybe, is that it's 90% safer than smoking is the figure they put on it. I do want to throw that back to you, though, John Dunn, because your industry's been accused of targeting children and also targeting people who never smoked in the first place. Is there some truth to that? Surely there is.
Absolutely not. The industry is heavily regulated in this country, including advertising. So, to say that is ridiculous. This is an argument that many people try and make to say, vaping is a gateway to smoking. There's absolutely no evidence to support that. And if you look at...
well, you say there's no evidence, John, but we read out some of the statistics that, 350,000 people that are vaping never smoked before. So there is clearly, and you see it culturally, you see way more people now in the last few years taking up vaping. So to say that there's no evidence for it and it's just a myth doesn't seem to really stack up with what people are observing.
It's not a myth. If you look at the statement from Hazel Cheeseman, who's the CEO of Ash UK, who did the survey, they say vaping amongst never smokers is rare and experimental. There's always going to be people who will try vaping. You made a statement earlier on to say that the industry has said that nobody who has not previously smoked vapes. That's incorrect. Nobody has ever made that statement. But what we do know is that the smoking numbers in this country and worldwide continue to decline at a far bigger rate due to vaping. And if you listen to Professor Britton, who is the director of the UK Centre for Tobacco and Alcohol Studies, he says there's no credible evidence that e-cigarette use is likely to increase smoking initiation.
Well, I do have to throw it back to you, John Dicey. What do you say to what John has just said there?
Well, I think the advertising regulation related to vaping is quite recent. So I think the vaping industry has had a clear field for the last 10 years to advertise their products in any way they want to, and are clearly targeting youngsters. It's product placement in music videos, social media. The regulations don't really take into account the impact of social media, whether it's Instagram or TikTok, social media influencers who have all had a free hand until very recently in promoting vaping, e-cigarettes.
Well, thank you both for joining us for this fiery debate. John Dicey from Easyway to Stop Vaping and Director General of the UK Vaping Industry Association. John Dunn, thank you both for joining us this morning.
Yes. What do you think about vaping?